The foundation of our search for the origin of free I/Atlas has always been built on a single, seemingly unshakable assumption, that it must have come from a star system. Comets, as we understand them, are the primordial rubble left over from the birth of planets around a parent star. They are the frozen ghosts of creation, born in a stellar nursery. And so, when the trajectory of free I/Atlas was traced backward and led to an empty patch of the void, our primary conclusion was that its parent star had simply moved away over the vast timescales of its journey. But what if this foundational assumption is completely wrong? What if the problem is not that the star has moved, but that there was never a star to begin with? This is the conclusion suggested by a deeper, more troubling analysis of the comet itself, the Goldilocks Paradox, of its composition. The data returned from the spectral analysis of its coma was not just strange, it was contradictory. The comet was far too wet. It was anomalously rich in highly volatile ices like methane, ammonia, and carbon monoxide. These are substances that should have been baked away by the radiation of a young star. In a normal solar system, objects formed in the inner, warmer regions are rocky and dry. Objects formed in the extreme outer reaches, the Oort cloud, while icy, have been bombarded by harsh galactic cosmic rays for billions of years, a process that fundamentally alters their surface chemistry. Free I/Atlas fit neither profile. It had the pristine, volatile-rich composition of a freshly frozen object, yet it also had the trajectory of an ancient interstellar wanderer. It was a ghost that had wept too much to be from a worn home, but whose tears were too pure to have endured the cold wrath of deep space. This paradox has been a quiet, nagging inconsistency, a piece of the puzzle that has been conveniently swept under the rug. It suggests that free I/Atlas was not born in the violent, irradiated environment of a stellar nursery, but was forged and protected in a completely different kind of crucible, a place shielded from the very stars we assumed were its creators. To solve the riddle of its origin, we must stop looking for a distant sun and start looking for a hidden world in the dark. Our galaxy is not just an archipelago of shining stars, it is an ocean of profound, absolute darkness, and this ocean is teeming with unseen worlds. These are the nomads, the orphans, the rogue planets. These are worlds that were born in the chaos of a young solar system and were then ejected by the gravitational whims of their larger siblings, cast out to wander the interstellar void alone, forever untethered to a parent star. For decades, these were purely theoretical objects. But modern astronomy now suggests that they are not just real, but astonishingly common. For every star you see in the night sky, there could be dozens, or even hundreds, of these dark worlds drifting silently in the abyss between them. There could be trillions of them in the Milky Way alone. They are the true silent majority of the galaxy. The surface of such a world is the most hostile environment imaginable. With no sun to warm it, the temperature plummets to near absolute zero. Its surface is a solid, frozen crust of nitrogen and methane ice, bathed in a darkness more complete than anything we have ever known. From the outside, it is a dead, frozen tomb. But this is only a mask. The true secret of a rogue world lies deep beneath its frozen skin. A large planet, especially one with a metallic core, generates its own internal heat through the radioactive decay of heavy elements like uranium and thorium. Furthermore, the very act of its violent ejection from its home system, with the immense gravitational tidal forces stretching and squeezing the planet, would have injected a colossal amount of thermal energy into its interior. This internal furnace, trapped beneath a thick, insulating crust of ice, creates the single most tantalizing possibility in the search for life, a subsurface ocean. A world of eternal darkness on the outside could conceal a warm, globe-spanning ocean of liquid water, kept liquid for billions of years by the planet's own beating heart. This is a place completely shielded from the lethal cosmic radiation that bombards objects in the Oort cloud. It is a perfect, stable, and protected incubator. The existence of a warm, liquid ocean, miles beneath a frozen crust, creates a dynamic and geologically active world. This internal heat must escape, and it does so in the most spectacular way imaginable, through cryovolcanism. These are not the volcanoes of Earth that spew molten rock. These are ice volcanoes. On a rogue world, immense pressure from the subsurface ocean would find weak points in the icy crust, forcing its way to the surface in colossal eruptions. But these eruptions would not be of lava. They would be a high-pressure slurry of liquid water, ammonia, methane, dissolved salts, and complex organic molecules dredged up from the abyssal ocean floor. As this cryomagma bursts through the surface and into the absolute zero temperature and hard vacuum of space, it freezes instantly. It is a process of flash freezing on a planetary scale. This is the Comet Factory. This is the crucible that perfectly resolves the Goldilocks Paradox of free ice/atlas. The material is dredged up from a protected, liquid interior, which explains its extreme richness and volatile compounds that would otherwise be destroyed by a star. It is then flash frozen in a vacuum of space, preserving its pristine, unaltered chemical state, which explains why it doesn't show the signs of billions of years of cosmic ray bombardment. It wasn't slowly formed in the chaos of a stellar nursery, it was violently birthed from the heart of a dark world. Over millions of years, this process would build up immense, unstable mountains and plains of frozen ejecta around the most active cryovolcanic vents. These would be vast, fragile structures of pure, volatile-rich ice and dust, a direct sample of the world's hidden ocean, waiting for a trigger. Free ice/atlas was not just a piece of debris that happened to be knocked out of a solar system. It was a piece of the rogue planet itself, a frozen testament to the geological activity occurring in the galaxy's darkest corners. The birth of free ice/atlas, in this scenario, was not a gentle process. It was an act of extreme and focused violence. Imagine the pressure building up beneath a massive, ancient cap of cryovolcanic ice, plugged in the planet's crust miles thick. For centuries, the subsurface ocean, driven by the planet's core, pushes against this cap. Finally, a critical point is reached. The crust fractures, and the result is not a simple eruption, but a cataclysmic explosion, of Great Eruption, that dwarfs any volcanic event in our own planet's history. A massive, continent-sized chunk of the icy surface, our future comet, is blasted upwards with unimaginable force. And this is the key to solving the final piece of the origin puzzle, its velocity. A rogue planet, untethered to a star, has a relatively low gravitational pull. Its escape velocity is a tiny fraction of what would be required to escape a full-fledged star system like our own. A single, colossal cryovolcanic eruption, focused like a cannon, could absolutely provide enough kinetic energy to launch a massive object like free ice/atlas completely free of the planet's gravity and send it on its own independent, interstellar trajectory. This explains why its path doesn't trace back to a star. It traces back to the path of its parent planet, a tiny, dark, and effectively invisible object moving through the galaxy. The comet and its parent have been traveling on separate paths ever since the eruption, their trajectories slowly diverging over millions of years, making a reunion all but impossible to calculate. This makes free ice/atlas something far more profound than a simple comet. It is not just a remnant of a system's formation, it is a direct piece of a mature, geologically active world. It is a biopsy sample, a messenger carrying the pristine, unaltered chemical signature of a place we never even knew could exist. If the theory ended there, it would already be a revolutionary new paradigm for the universe. But the implications go one step further, into a realm that is both exhilarating and deeply profound. We must ask the final question: if free ice/atlas is a frozen sample of a subsurface liquid water ocean, protected from radiation and warmed by a geothermal core. What else was in that water? Here on Earth, wherever we find liquid water, geothermal energy, and organic molecules, we find life. Our own deep-sea hydrothermal vents, which receive no sunlight, are teeming with chemosynthetic ecosystems that thrive on the chemical energy from the Earth's interior. Our rogue world provides these exact same conditions on a global, potentially billion-year-long scale. The hidden, abyssal ocean of a nomad planet is arguably the most perfect incubator for life in the entire universe. This reframes the entire purpose of Free I/Atlas. The cryovolcanic eruption was not just a geological event, it was a biological one. The flash-frozen ice of the comet would have perfectly preserved a snapshot of its home ocean's biosphere. The complex organic compounds detected in its coma were not just primordial chemicals, they were the shattered remains of alien microorganisms. Free I/Atlas was a biological ark, a tomb carrying the frozen genetic legacy of a dark world. This gives rise to a new, more powerful vision of panspermia. Life may not spread by hopping between the brightly lit, widely spaced islands of star systems. Instead, the galaxy could be crisscrossed by a hidden network of trillions of dark, life-bearing worlds, constantly exchanging biological material through these cryovolcanic messenger events. The universe is not a sterile void with a few oases of life. The universe itself is a hidden biosphere, with life thriving in the last place we ever thought to look, the dark. We were not just visited by a rock. We were visited by a piece of a living world, a messenger from the dark, teeming heart of the galaxy.